David here with Figboot on Pens, back again with another ink review. Today, I don't just have a single ink for you, I have a collection of 10 different inks from Monteverde called the Sweet Life Ink Collection. Each of the inks are themed after popular treats and desserts. Thanks go out to Jaffa Brands for providing this set of inks for review. And in order to take a closer look at these delicious inks, please join me over here at camera 2. The inks come in this colorful presentation box. This top slides off, and then inside we have a nice presentation box with a magnetic flap. And up top here is a reference guide for all of the colors / flavors and the accompanying bottles of ink below. Now, I said that, flavors, but these inks are not scented or flavored. I would not recommend digesting ink. A little ink isn't going to harm you, but I can't imagine that it's too great for you. This box actually has an interesting design because if you take all the inks out and this reference card, then the box can actually lay completely flat and fold completely flat. Each individual box has... We'll set this aside. Each box has pictures again of the entire collection on either side. And then on the back it talks about their ITF, which stands for Ink Treatment Formula, which is a chemistry which they claim dramatically improves the ink flow quality, extends cap-off time, and lubricates and protects the ink feeding systems from corrosion and clogging. Now, in my testing of these inks, I haven't experienced any clogging or buildup, so while I haven't tested these extensively over an extended period of time, so far, I'm believing their claim. This is what the bottles look like. They are 30 milliliters. I like these bottles more than the last series from Monteverde I tested, the Noir collection. Those bottles just had some simple text on the label, and it didn't even have any branding. It didn't say Monteverde on the bottle at all. The theme of this ink collection lends itself to some more colorful pictures, however. I like that the mouth of the bottle is plenty wide in order to fit any pen in your collection. So what do these inks look like? Here are some swabs. We have the blue velvet cake, then there is blueberry muffin, there is birthday cake, there is strawberry shortcake, cherry Danish, then we have iced cookie, key lime pie, pumpkin cake, chocolate pudding, and mango mousse. But now, what do these actually look like on some paper? I've actually swabbed some here on some 52-gram Tomoe River paper. This is the strawberry shortcake. Then we have the key lime pie, iced cookie, birthday cake, and blueberry muffin. Now, I find that these inks are rather wet and that, and they don't apply with the highest amount of saturation. I thought I'd actually show how I do these kind of ink swabs. And the one ink that I haven't done it on this paper that I was going to do was this blue velvet cake. So actually I use a Q-tip for this swab, and then this is more of a smear. So here, let's take a look and do a Q-tip swab over here. And then over here is more of a smear with a letter opener, so I get a little bit more on there. You can see how it applies rather wet and not super saturated, but the more that it dries, the darker it will get. Now, in regard to bleed through on this Tomoe River paper, there is quite a bit of bleed through. But I'm applying significantly more ink here than you would in everyday writing, so that's to be expected, especially on this thinner paper. So, of these colors, I wanted to do more of a standard review on just one of them. Again, let's go ahead and show you all of the inks in this collection. There they are. Now, I can't say that Mango Mousse is my favorite color. It's a little bit light for my tastes, in that I can't say that the two browns, while nice, they aren't necessarily particularly exciting for my tastes. You know, I love key lime pie itself, but this green is a little light for me, which leaves these 6 colors right here. And that, you know, to really, and I actually really like each of these 6. So to like 6 of the 10 in the collection is a pretty good percentage. There are some nice colors here, but in the end, what I will end up taking a closer look at is the strawberry shortcake. This is my favorite of the bunch. It's a really nice bright red that I have been enjoying a great deal. So let's actually see what it looks like on some paper. And in order to do so, let's go ahead and actually zoom in just a little bit more. This is what it looks like on some Rhodia 80-gram paper. This header here is done with a Pilot Parallel, a 2.4 millimeter. That I'd say the ghosting and bleed on here is minimal. There's a little bit, just a little bit when we're talking about the heavier application, but the standard writing is very little, so I think it performs well there. I'd say the shade is medium. You can see that actually it's a little bit higher when you have a higher amount of ink on the page, but this is not standard writing, so that if you have some heavier applications or a pen that has heavier applications, you can get a little bit of shading out of here, but for standard writing, there's not going to be a ton. And I'd say the sheen is low on here as well. In regard to pens for some writing samples, I have a number of newer acquisitions with me. The first up is a Sailor Pro Gear Slim Yuki Tsubaki White Lame. Yuki Tsubaki is Japanese for snow leopard. This is a really nice white pen with small little flecks of red that you can see in here. And this pen has, we'll see, this is a Sailor Pro Gear Slim. And this is the Yuki Tsubaki, Tsubaki, and it's the white lame. And this is a hard, medium, fine nib. So for a Japanese pen, this is going to be a little bit on the fine side. In regard to the next pen, it's a pen that I acquired at the DC show. It's one that I feel really pairs well with this ink, and that is the Pen 18111 Pink Sakura. And I just think this is an amazing looking pen, and I think that it really pairs up nice with this ink. So we have the Pen 18111 Pink Sakura. And this is a medium nib. And then finally, I have a pen that I actually just received today, which was one of those things that I saw and I just had to have, which is from Keras Pen Company. And that is the Keras Mugione ink. Ink is the name of the pen style. Mugione is Arizona's version of Sasquatch or Bigfoot, and if you can tell here on the nib, there is an imprint of a kind of a profile of Mugione or Sasquatch or Bigfoot. So if there was a pen with Bigfoot on it, then you knew it was something that I ended up having to have. And this one has a 1.1 millimeter stub on it. So this is the Keras Pen Company. And this is the Mugione, which is Mogollon. Kind of looks different than it's pronounced, monster. Ink. And ink is the name of the pen. I know that this was a limited edition of 50. As of this morning when I checked, there was still inventory of this. But if you're interested in these, then I would check out the Keras Custom site because these are in limited quantities. Okay, in regard to some writing samples, in regard to the Sailor, In the early 90s, I was actually a stockbroker for a couple of years, and one thing that we would do at the office to entertain ourselves is we would actually order these key lime pies from this company in Florida, and this is when I was living in San Diego, and they would overnight you a pie for $40, and we just thought that was the most entertaining thing because we would get 4 people together, each of us chip in $10. For that, you'd get a quarter of the pie, which is basically 2 slices, and we'd order a pie one day, and the next day a pie would show up the very next day with dry ice and all the way from Florida. And plus, they were delicious pies. So we just thought that was the most fun thing to do, is order pies and then have it show up the very next day. From across the country. Back at that point in time, that was still a little bit of a novelty. Okay, for the pen 18111, okay, first of all, I'm not quite sure why I suddenly forgot how to spell every other word in here. But what I said was a dessert I recently ordered might very well be the most disappointing I have ever had. While I was out at the pen show in DC one night, Jonathan Brooks and Sean Newton and their families and I went out to dinner, and on the menu we saw something called a chocolate frog for dessert. And we just thought, we got excited, and we thought it was going to be something, a delicious treat that they said had some chocolate mousse in it. And this is what we received. I would not necessarily categorize this as being a frog. And then on top of that, once you cracked it open, the mousse inside kind of seems like, or it kind of tasted like the mousse had, it was something that used to be mousse. Maybe a week previously it was mousse, but at that point in time when I ordered it, it was not mousse. So that was definitely one of the more disappointing desserts because I was really looking forward to tasting it, and it looked heinous and tasted just as heinous. Okay, finally, in regard to the Keras, says cake or pie? That is the question. I choose pie. Pie has generally been my favorite, or even cheesecake. I categorize cheesecake as more of a cake, more of a pie than a cake. But I'm a big fan of pie, and would prefer, and many years have actually had a birthday pie as opposed to a birthday cake. I would say the flow of this ink is rather wet. In regard to drying time, I found with my medium fine nib, it was done in about 15 seconds. And even with my medium nib, it was done in 15 seconds as well. I said overall, the Monteverde Sweet Life collection offers a real nice variety as a package and contains several inks I would recommend on their own. Okay, in regard to a water test, let's go ahead and drop a little bit of water on here. While this sits here for a minute, let's take a look at some chromatography of the Strawberry Shortcake. Now, I can't say that this is the most exciting chromatography, so I decided to do a couple of more. Here is Key Lime Pie. I always like to see greens separate out. You can see here that this light green is heavy on the yellow and then light on the blue. And then finally, I did one more of the colors, which was Iced Cookie. This color is a favorite of this collection of many folks that I have spoken with. And then here is what those chromatographies ended up looking like. This is what the strawberry shortcake looked like. There was just a little bit of yellow and orange and heavy on the red. And then this is the key lime pie. You can see that yellow as well as the greenish and blue. And then here is the iced cookie with the blue, kind of a yellowish, and then a darker blue right there. Okay, in regard to waterproofness, the fact that there's ink hovering on the top of this makes me think that it's not too waterproof, and that is proven by the fact that it's pretty much almost dissolved. Okay, let's zoom back out just a little bit. These inks are available from a wide number of retailers. The complete set sells for around $70, and the individual bottles retail for $8. So you get a bit of a break when you buy the full set of 10. Now, all this talk about treats has made me rather hungry, so I think it's time to enjoy a treat myself. And what better treat than my favorite ink in this collection, a nice homemade strawberry shortcake. So, I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at this collection of inks. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. This is delicious.